Research is hard, but your tools should not be. Subthesis.com is the free alternative to expensive software. Whether you need to calculate Cronbach's alpha or organize your field notes, Subthesis has a tool for it. No paywalls and no registration required. Check the link in the description and let's dive into today's lesson. Welcome to Section F on Professional Development, where we explore the skills and strategies that will support your career beyond the immediate work of completing your degree. We begin with one of the most important yet often misunderstood aspects of academic and research careers: building your professional network. For many graduate students, networking feels awkward, transactional, or even distasteful. The image of working a room, collecting business cards, and making shallow connections with people who might be useful someday. If that's your mental model, I want to reframe networking entirely. The most valuable professional networks aren't built through calculated self-promotion, but through genuine relationships developed over time around shared intellectual interests. Your network consists of people who know your work, respect your contributions, and want to help you succeed, just as you want to help them. Over the next 20 minutes, we'll explore why networks matter so profoundly for academic careers, how to build authentic professional relationships that last, strategies for conference networking and digital presence, and sustainable practices that integrate networking into your regular professional life. Whether you're an introvert who dreads cocktail hours or an extrovert who connects easily, these strategies will help you build a professional community that will support your entire career. Professional networks provide value in ways that extend far beyond the transactional image that makes many people uncomfortable. Understanding these benefits helps you invest appropriately in relationship building. Information flows through networks faster than through formal channels. Job openings, funding opportunities, emerging research directions, important developments in your field. People with strong networks learn about these earlier and more reliably. Much crucial information never appears in official announcements. It travels through professional connections. Collaboration opportunities emerge from relationships. The scholars you might collaborate with are those who know you, respect your work, and enjoy working with you. Networks connect you with potential collaborators whose expertise complements yours. Some of the most impactful research emerges from collaborations that began at conference conversations. Support during challenges, and academia presents many, comes from professional relationships. When your paper is rejected, when your experiment fails, when you're questioning your path, colleagues who understand your situation provide perspective and encouragement. Isolation amplifies difficulty, connection buffers it. Reputation develops through network connections. When people speak positively about your work to others, your reputation extends beyond those you've met directly. Strong networks amplify your visibility in ways self-promotion never can. People trust recommendations from colleagues they respect. Community sustains motivation over the long arc of an academic career. Shared intellectual passion, mutual support, and belonging to something larger than individual projects provide meaning that pure individual achievement cannot. Let's reframe networking from the transactional model that creates so much discomfort. Authentic professional networking is about building relationships, not executing transactions. You're not trying to extract value from people or manipulate them into helping you. You're developing genuine connections with people who share your intellectual interests. Some will become collaborators, some mentors, some friends. Many will simply be respected colleagues you encounter periodically throughout your career. Effective networking emphasizes giving, not just getting. How can you be helpful to others? What can you share, introduce, or contribute? People remember those who helped them far more than those who asked for help. A generous orientation paradoxically produces more long-term benefit than a self-focused one. Think in terms of long-term investment, not quick wins. The person you meet today might not help your career for years or ever, but the relationship you build now might prove crucial when circumstances align in the future. Networks develop over decades. Patience is essential. Bring genuine interest, not performance. People sense when they're being worked rather than genuinely engaged. Authentic curiosity about others' research, real enthusiasm for shared interests, and sincere engagement build trust. Trying to appear interested while calculating what someone can do for you undermines connection. Frame your networking as community building, not individual promotion. You're joining and contributing to a scholarly community that you'll participate in for your entire career. This community orientation shifts the whole enterprise from awkward self-marketing to meaningful belonging. Graduate students often feel they have no network and don't know where to begin. Actually, you're positioned within networks already. The challenge is activating and extending them. Your advisor's network is your most immediate resource. Your advisor knows scholars throughout your field. Introductions from your advisor carry weight because they signal their endorsement. Ask your advisor to introduce you to colleagues at conferences or when visitors come to campus. These warm introductions are far more effective than cold approaches. Your department provides natural networking opportunities. Fellow graduate students are your peers now and colleagues later. Nurture these relationships. Faculty beyond your advisor can become mentors, collaborators, or letter writers. Staff often know how things actually work. Engage with your departmental community actively. Your institution extends opportunities beyond your department. Interdisciplinary centers, research groups, graduate student associations, and cross-departmental events connect you with scholars you wouldn't otherwise meet. Some of your most valuable connections may come from unexpected institutional corners. Your broader field includes everyone working on related topics worldwide. Conferences, online communities, and publications connect you with this extended community. Identify scholars whose work inspires you and find appropriate ways to engage with them. Adjacent disciplines often offer fresh perspectives and collaboration opportunities. Border-crossing connections can spark innovative research and position you uniquely. Don't limit yourself to people who study exactly what you study. Conferences concentrate networking opportunities but can feel overwhelming. Strategic preparation and intentional behavior help you benefit from these concentrated moments. Prepare before attending. Review the program and identify presentations to attend and people you want to meet. Research scholars whose work interests you so you can engage knowledgeably. Have your own work clearly in mind to describe concisely. Preparation transforms random wandering into purposeful engagement. Attend presentations in your area and participate actively. Ask thoughtful questions that demonstrate engagement with the work. Introduce yourself to presenters afterward with specific comments on their talk. Presenters remember people who engage substantively with their research. Use breaks in social events purposefully rather than retreating to your room or phone. Conference hallways, coffee breaks, and receptions are where much real networking happens. Position yourself for conversation. Approach people standing alone rather than penetrating established groups. Ask what they're working on. People enjoy discussing their research. Follow up after the conference to solidify connections. Email people you met with a brief message referencing your conversation. Connect on appropriate platforms. Thank people who were helpful. Without follow-up, conference connections fade quickly. With follow-up, they become lasting relationships. Prioritize quality over quantity. Meaningful conversations with a few people produce more value than superficial exchanges with many. Don't try to meet everyone. Focus on genuine connections with people whose work genuinely interests you. The actual mechanics of networking conversations matter. Simple techniques make these interactions more comfortable and productive. Start by asking about their research with genuine curiosity. What are you working on? Or, I saw your presentation. Could you tell me more about how you approached X? People enjoy discussing their work, and you learn something valuable. Questions that show you've engaged with their specific work are particularly effective. Listen actively rather than just waiting to speak. Build on what they say. Ask follow-up questions. Show genuine interest through engagement, not just polite nodding. Good networkers are good listeners. People remember being heard. Find common interests and connections. I'm also interested in X, or my advisor worked on something similar, creates bridges. Shared connections or mutual interests provide foundation for ongoing relationship. Note these commonalities for follow-up reference. Share your own work when natural opportunities arise, but don't force it. A brief, clear description of your research, your elevator pitch, should be ready, but deployed in conversation, not recited at people. If they ask what you do, respond concisely and gauge interest before elaborating. Exit gracefully when conversation naturally concludes. It was great meeting you. I hope we can continue this conversation. Or, I'm going to catch the next session, but I'd love to stay in touch. Allows both parties to move on without awkwardness. Exchanging contact information or suggesting a specific follow-up gives the exit purpose. Approaching established scholars can feel intimidating. Understanding their perspective and following appropriate etiquette makes these interactions more comfortable and productive. Remember that senior scholars were once graduate students too. Most remember the experience and genuinely want to support the next generation. They're not as unapproachable as they might seem from a distance. The intimidation factor is often higher in your imagination than in reality. Engage with their specific work, not just their general reputation. I've read your book and have a question about Chapter 4 demonstrates genuine engagement. General flattery without substance is transparent and unimpressive. Specific engagement shows you've done your homework and have something to discuss. Respect their time constraints. Senior scholars often have packed schedules at conferences. A brief, focused exchange may be more appropriate than a lengthy conversation. If they seem pressed, get to your point efficiently. Watch for cues that they need to move on. Offer value, not just requests. Maybe you've read something relevant to their work, or you have a perspective from a different context. Contributing to their thinking, not just extracting from their expertise, makes the interaction more balanced. They meet many people asking for things. Those who give something are memorable. Follow up appropriately after the interaction. A brief email thanking them for their time and referencing something specific from your conversation keeps the connection alive. Don't expect immediate friendship. Building relationships with senior scholars often happens across multiple interactions over years. Digital platforms extend networking beyond face-to-face interactions, enabling connections with scholars worldwide. Strategic digital presence complements in-person networking. Build a professional online presence that represents you well. Complete profiles with current information, professional photos, and descriptions of your research interests. What you post online shapes how colleagues perceive you. Consider how your digital presence appears to potential collaborators, employers, and students. Engage constructively with others' work online. Comment thoughtfully on papers, share interesting scholarship, and participate in relevant discussions. Engagement that demonstrates intellectual generosity and expertise builds reputation. Avoid online behavior you wouldn't exhibit in person. The same professional standards apply. Share your own research appropriately, posting working papers, sharing new publications, and discussing your research interests makes your work visible. But balance self-promotion with engagement with others. Accounts that only broadcast but never engage don't build community. Different platforms serve different purposes. Academic Twitter or X provides real-time field conversation and rapid information sharing. LinkedIn offers professional networking extending beyond academia. ResearchGate and academia.edu focus on paper sharing and academic metrics. Field-specific forums and listservs provide targeted community engagement. Know what each platform offers and use accordingly. Maintain professional standards online. What you post is permanent and public. Controversies, conflicts, and careless statements can follow you. This doesn't mean being inauthentic. It means being thoughtfully professional in a very public space. Meeting someone once doesn't create a lasting connection. Following up and maintaining relationships over time transforms initial contacts into genuine professional relationships. Follow up promptly after initial meetings, within a day or two while the interaction is fresh. A brief email referencing your conversation and expressing interest in staying connected establishes the relationship. Delayed or forgotten follow-up wastes the investment of the initial interaction. Find reasons to stay in touch beyond the initial meeting. Maybe you read something relevant to their work, or your research has progressed in ways they might find interesting. Sharing your work when appropriate or asking substantive questions about theirs provides legitimate reasons for contact. Don't manufacture reasons, but don't miss natural opportunities either. Share relevant opportunities and information when you encounter them. If you learn of a job opening that fits a contact's interests, or a call for papers relevant to their work, passing it along demonstrates that you think of them and want to be helpful. This generous orientation builds goodwill. Engage with their work over time. Read and cite their publications when relevant. Attend their presentations when possible. Comment thoughtfully on their work. Ongoing intellectual engagement signals sustained interest, not just transactional connection. Quality attention to fewer connections beats thin attention to many. You can't maintain deep relationships with hundreds of people. Focus on connections that seem most promising or meaningful, and invest appropriately in those. Better to have 20 strong professional relationships than 200 names you don't remember. Many academics are introverts, and traditional networking advice often feels designed for extroverts. Adapting strategies to introvert preferences makes networking more sustainable and authentic. Play to introvert strengths rather than fighting them. Introverts often excel at deep, substantive conversations, thoughtful listening, and written communication. These qualities are valuable in professional relationships. You don't have to become an extrovert to network effectively. You need to network in ways that suit your temperament. Preparation reduces anxiety that makes networking uncomfortable. Knowing who you want to meet, having conversation starters ready, and rehearsing your research description all reduce the uncertainty that introverts find depleting. The more prepared you feel, the less energy networking consumes. Prefer one-on-one interactions over group mingling. Crowded receptions may feel overwhelming, but coffee with one person is manageable. Propose individual meetings rather than relying on conference social events. Deeper conversations with fewer people align with introvert preferences and produce stronger connections. Build in recovery time during intensive networking situations. After a morning of conference sessions, take lunch alone to recharge. Retreat to your room between events if needed. Sustainable networking requires managing energy, not pushing through exhaustion. Use writing-based connection, which often suits introverts. Email, social media engagement, and written correspondence don't require the real-time improvisation that drains introverts. Strong writing skills, which many introverts possess, become networking assets in digital contexts. While networking with established scholars gets much attention, peer networking with fellow graduate students and early career scholars offers distinct and crucial value. Today's peers become career-long colleagues. The graduate students you meet at conferences now will be faculty members and research leaders for the next 40 years. Investing in these relationships early creates connections that grow as careers develop together. Many of your most important professional relationships will be with people who started as peers. Mutual support during graduate school addresses the isolation many graduate students experience. Peers understand the specific challenges of your career stage in ways established faculty may not. Study groups, writing partnerships, and emotional support from peers help sustain you through graduate school's difficulties. Future collaboration opportunities emerge naturally from peer relationships. Collaborators who know your work well and whose work complements yours may come from your graduate cohort. Some of the most productive long-term collaborations began between graduate students who maintained connections throughout their careers. Shared information and resources flow easily among peers. Job market information, research techniques, funding opportunities, and professional knowledge circulate through peer networks. The collective intelligence of a peer network exceeds what any individual can gather alone. Peer networking involves less hierarchy and more partnership than networking with senior scholars. The power dynamics are balanced. You can offer as much as you receive. This mutuality often makes peer relationships more comfortable and sustainable than relationships across career stages. The most valuable networks span differences rather than clustering within homogeneous groups. Intentionally networking across various dimensions of difference enriches your professional community. Diverse networks provide richer perspectives than echo chambers. Connecting with scholars who think differently, approach problems from different angles, or bring different experiences expands your own thinking. Homogeneous networks reinforce existing assumptions, diverse networks challenge and grow them. Cross-disciplinary connections often spark innovation. Some of the most exciting research emerges at disciplinary boundaries. Networking with scholars in adjacent fields, or even quite different ones, can introduce methods, theories, and perspectives that transform your work. Don't limit networking to people who study exactly what you study. Practitioners and policymakers offer perspectives different from academic researchers. Understanding how your research matters beyond academia, building relationships with those who might apply your findings, and learning from practical experience enriches your scholarship and impact. Some career paths involve these communities directly. International connections expand opportunities and perspectives. Scholars in other countries bring different scholarly traditions, institutional contexts, and research questions. International networks position you for global collaboration and career opportunities beyond any single national context. Inclusion, actively welcoming diverse colleagues into your network, strengthens the entire academic community. If you have privileges that make networking easier for you, consider how to extend opportunities to others. Inclusive networking practices benefit everyone. Networks only function well when members contribute positively. Being a good network member creates the conditions for networks to benefit everyone, including you. Give more than you take. Share opportunities with others. Provide feedback when asked. Make introductions when you can help. Answer questions from those with less experience. Generous network members build reputations that attract continued investment from others. Follow through on commitments. If you say you'll send a paper, send it. If you promise an introduction, make it. If you agree to provide feedback, deliver. Reliability builds trust that enables deeper relationships. People stop investing in those who consistently disappoint. Reciprocate when others help you. If someone provides feedback on your paper, offer to reciprocate. If someone makes an introduction, find ways to be helpful in return. If someone shares opportunities, share back when you can. Networks operate on implicit reciprocity. Failing to reciprocate strains relationships. Be authentic rather than strategic. People can sense when they're being worked as networking targets rather than engaged as genuine colleagues. Relationships built on authenticity last. Those built on calculated strategy tend to dissolve when their strategic purpose ends. Maintain professional standards in all network interactions. Treat people respectfully. Honor confidentiality when appropriate. Avoid gossip and negativity. Your reputation within networks depends on how you treat everyone, not just those who might help you immediately. Networking intensity and focus appropriately vary across career stages. Understanding this timeline helps you invest appropriately at each point. Begin networking early in graduate school, even when you feel you have nothing to offer. Building relationships takes time. Starting early gives time to develop. Early connections with advanced students, faculty, and scholars at conferences plant seeds that grow as you develop. Don't wait until you need a network to start building one. Expand your network as your expertise develops. With more research experience, you have more to contribute to scholarly conversations. Your advisor's introductions carry more weight when you have substantive work to discuss. Mid-program offers opportunities to build relationships around your emerging research contributions. Intensify networking strategically before the job market. Strong networks matter enormously for job searches, for learning about opportunities, securing letters, and building visibility. The year or two before you go on the market is particularly important for ensuring key people know your work, but this intensification should build on prior relationship building, not replace it. Continue networking throughout your career. Senior scholars still benefit from collegial relationships, collaboration, and community. Networks require ongoing cultivation. Relationships that aren't maintained fade. Career-long networking investment compounds over time. Relationships compound over time in value. The colleague you meet early in both your careers may become a department chair who hires you, or an editor who publishes you, or a collaborator on your most important project. Long-term relationship investment produces returns you can't predict. Networking involves ethical dimensions that deserve attention. Maintaining integrity while building relationships protects both you and your network. Present yourself honestly. Don't exaggerate your credentials, overstate your expertise, or claim work that isn't yours. Academic communities are small, misrepresentations are eventually discovered, and severely damage reputation. Authentic self-presentation may feel modest but builds trust that sustains relationships. Respect others' time and boundaries. Don't make excessive demands on busy people's attention. Read signals when someone needs to end a conversation. Understand that not everyone you want to connect with has capacity for new relationships. Graceful acceptance of limits maintains dignity and leaves doors open. Avoid exploitative dynamics. Using people purely for what they can give you, without genuine interest in relationship, is manipulative. Power differences between senior and junior scholars create potential for exploitation in both directions. Networking should be mutually beneficial, not extractive. Honor confidentiality appropriately. Information shared in professional conversations may be sensitive. Job search activities, research in progress, personal challenges. Don't gossip about what colleagues share with you. Being known as someone who can be trusted with confidential information is a networking asset. Navigate conflicts of interest carefully. Sometimes your network connections create conflicts, relationships with competing candidates, connections to both parties in disputes, multiple loyalties pulling different directions. Acknowledging and managing these conflicts honestly maintains integrity. Many people find networking uncomfortable for various reasons. Acknowledging discomfort while developing coping strategies helps you network effectively despite it. Acknowledge discomfort without being ruled by it. Feeling anxious about approaching strangers, fearful of rejection, or exhausted by social performance is normal. These feelings don't mean you shouldn't network, they mean you're human. Notice the feelings, then act anyway based on what serves your goals. Reframe networking as intellectual community rather than career manipulation. If you think of networking as using people for career advancement, of course it feels sleazy. If you think of it as joining a community of scholars who share your intellectual passions, it feels meaningful. The reframe is accurate. Genuine networks are communities, not contact lists. Start with lower stakes situations to build confidence. Networking with peers at your own institution is less intimidating than approaching famous scholars at major conferences. Practice in more comfortable contexts, then gradually extend to more challenging ones. Skills developed in easier situations transfer to harder ones. Practice with supportive people. Ask friends to role-play conference conversations. Attend networking events with peers who can provide moral support. Request introductions from your advisor rather than approaching cold. Support makes difficult tasks manageable. Celebrate small networking victories. Had a good conversation at a reception. Sent a follow-up email you'd been putting off. Made a connection with someone whose work you admire. These deserve recognition. Positive reinforcement builds motivation for continued networking investment. Strategic visibility, making yourself and your work known, complements personal networking by attracting connections you couldn't have built individually. Visibility attracts network connections you might never have made through personal outreach. When people see your work and find it valuable, they may seek connection with you. Visibility creates inbound networking rather than depending entirely on outbound effort. Present your work widely at conferences, departmental seminars, and invited talks. Every presentation exposes your work to potential connections. Good presentations demonstrate competence and create opportunities for follow-up conversation. Say yes to presentation opportunities, especially early in your career when building visibility matters most. Publish in visible venues that reach scholars you want to know. Journal selection affects who sees your work. Strategic publication in journals your target community reads increases the chances of being noticed by people you want in your network. Publication is its own form of scholarly communication and networking. Contribute through professional service, organizing conference sessions, reviewing for journals, serving on committees. Service increases visibility within professional communities and demonstrates citizenship. People you work with on service activities become part of your network through shared effort. Let visibility complement personal networking without replacing it. Being well known doesn't build relationships, it creates opportunities for relationships. You still need to engage personally with people who notice your work. Visibility opens doors. Personal connection walks through them. The most valuable professional networks develop over many years through consistent cultivation. Understanding the long-term nature of network building helps you sustain effort. Networks require ongoing cultivation, not one-time construction. Connections fade without maintenance. Periodic contact, congratulating accomplishments, sharing relevant information, meeting at conferences keeps relationships alive. Neglected relationships wither, cultivated ones grow. Invest steadily over years rather than intensively for brief periods. Regular modest investment produces better results than occasional intense effort followed by neglect. Build networking practices into your regular professional rhythm rather than treating it as a special activity for special occasions. Let relationships evolve naturally over time. Not every connection becomes a close colleague, and that's fine. Some relationships stay light and periodic, others deepen into genuine friendship. Allow relationships to find their natural level without forcing intimacy or feeling failed when connections stay casual. Quality deepens over time in relationships that persist. The colleague you've known for 15 years becomes a different kind of connection than someone you just met. Shared history, demonstrated reliability, and accumulated trust produce relationships of substance. Time is an irreplaceable ingredient in the most valuable connections. Trust your accumulated investment. If you've consistently built and maintained your network over years, trust that the connections exist and can be activated when needed. You don't need to track every benefit networks provide. The value emerges organically from genuine relationships sustained over time. Let's apply what we've covered by mapping your current network and planning its development. Even if your network feels small, this exercise helps you see what exists and what to build. First, map your current professional network. List people you could email today and receive a warm response. Your advisor, committee members, fellow students, faculty you've worked with, scholars you've met at conferences. This exercise often reveals your network is larger than you thought. Second, identify strong and developing connections. Which relationships feel solid? Which are promising but need more development? Which have faded and might need reactivation? Understanding relationship quality helps you allocate attention appropriately. Third, note gaps in your network. Are there types of connections you lack? Senior scholars who could mentor you, peers for mutual support, connections in particular subfields, international colleagues, practitioners outside academia. Identifying gaps suggests where to focus network building. Fourth, plan concrete next steps. For each category, strengthening existing connections, developing promising ones, building new ones in gap areas, what specific actions will you take? Email someone you haven't contacted recently. Attend a particular conference. Reach out to someone whose work you admire. Concrete plans convert intentions to action. Fifth, set networking goals for the coming months. How many new connections do you want to make? Which relationships do you want to deepen? What events will you attend? Having explicit goals helps you track progress and maintain focus on networking as an ongoing priority. Let's consolidate what we've covered about building your professional network. The most important insight is that effective networks are built through genuine relationships developed over time, not through transactional calculation or strategic manipulation. Authentic interest in colleagues and their work creates the foundation for lasting professional connections. Give generously rather than focusing only on what you might get. Sharing opportunities, providing feedback, making introductions, and supporting others builds reputation and goodwill that pays dividends throughout your career. Networks based on generosity function better than those based on self-interest. Start with the connections you already have and expand outward. Your advisor's network, your department, your institution, your field all offer networking opportunities. You're not starting from zero, you're building on existing foundations. Maintain relationships through consistent cultivation. One-time connections fade without maintenance. Regular contact, engagement with colleagues' work, and ongoing investment keep relationships alive and growing. Quality networks require sustained attention. In our next video, we'll explore preparing for the academic job market, where all the relationship building we've discussed becomes particularly important. Your network helps you learn about opportunities, secure strong letters, and build the visibility that positions you competitively. The networking investments you make now pay off directly when job searching. Writing the thesis is a marathon, not a sprint, but you do not have to run it alone. If you are feeling stuck with your data or overwhelmed by your sources, let us help. Head over to subthesis.com. It is completely free and designed to make your life easier. You are making progress. Keep going. And don't forget to subscribe for more support.